to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from the Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional. Strap in. The show starts right now.
¿Cómo están, bitches? This is the Lineman Lounge. I'm Mike. That's Evo. Sleeves are optional here, and we are in Hangar 6, and we are ready to rock this motherfucker. Evo has got a giant dick behind him.
Pride
somebody
month.
in the room has to have one. So,
Yeah.
man, I'm excited to be here. We got a ton of shit to go over. We got basically every sport. I took a shot at soccer and kind of in the description of this, fuck soccer. But we got a ton of shit to talk about. I'm very excited. We're going football, NBA. We got hockey, baseball. We got college football back in the fucking news cycle this week. How are you doing? I'm pumped to be here. We're also going to get some youth sports stuff before we get kicked off into the whole shebang. So how you doing today, big guy?
Doing pretty good, man. Looking forward to a fun weekend. So might try to do a little hiking later this afternoon if the old lady's up for it. You know, we're actually in the beginning of an early monsoon season out here in Arizona. So we've actually been getting rain every day for almost the past 2 weeks.
Holy
Even
shit.
though it's been minimal, like sprinkling here and there with a lot of, clouds and thunderstorms and things like that around the area. But at least at my house, I've gotten one really good rain, a lot of sprinkling. So we'll see if I can actually get the hike in. But then we're going camping tomorrow. We're going out to Patagonia, gonna park the truck tent out there and spend the day and get back on Monday and get home and immediately roll into work because I'm working that night shift. But yeah, things are going good. And enjoying the weekends as much as I can because God, work is just a drag right now.
Yeah, I can fucking imagine.
Yep. And rocking the Sudbury Bulldogs today.
I see that. It's nice.
69 shore on the back, so it's pretty dope drip if I do say so myself.
I still have not watched it yet. I'm kind of waiting. Are they doing it week by week release or is the entire season?
It's done. Yeah,
it's done.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 6 episodes. It is different than Letterkenny for sure.
Okay,
it's different.
All right.
I liked it. I enjoyed it. I enjoy any of the stuff that those guys put out. So it's fun.
Yeah, those guys are incredibly talented. Like to have that kind of a brain to just be able to create stuff like that off the. I'm sure it takes a lot of time. You develop these characters, but Kiso is so fucking smart. Like he plays multiple characters. He has now created another show off of one of. He plays a character that you never see his face and created a spinoff from it. Like that's fucking impressive. So I'm very pumped to watch Shore. Letterkenny, fantastic. Kind of pumped when the next season of that comes out. There's always some sort of nice little cliffhanger at the end of the seasons to kind of drive you into the next season. So yeah, I'm very pumped to check out Shore. We actually got some hockey to talk about. I thought last night was going to be the night, but it wasn't. They had their opportunities multiple times, but it didn't happen. We'll talk about that after a little bit. But before we do that, I kind of want to start getting into some youth sports. There we go. I'm going to save all this shit in here. So youth sports, I'm actually trying to add these baseball coaches for Graydon to this little group chat. And man, so last night, good game. Boys responded well this week after having a tough week last week. Got a couple of dubs. Graydon played pretty well. He is hitting the ball really, really hard. He's early on everything. I think that's a better problem to have than being incredibly late on all your swings. But he's yanking the ball down the third base line, and it keeps landing foul. But he's hitting the ball hard. He did get a hit, pitched really well. Shut him down the last 2 innings, kind of came in and was our closer and was able to finish that game off. They won 13-11 last night. Did not pitch Monday. Played okay. Had a pretty decent little game. But, I mean, the team's getting much better. I think we've played every damn team in the league now. We'll probably start seeing some of these teams again. And hopefully we can get this team into the damn playoffs, because if they play, with their full potential and are, have their heads in the game, this team can beat anybody in the league. And you don't necessarily always see that in a youth league, because you're going to have kids that, are just far superior athletes on some teams, and those teams can carry teams. But if the boys get it all worked out, I think they'll be all right. And hopefully we'll see Graydon in there pitching, because, man, he's been throwing some fucking gas. Great fastball. He knows how to throw a little cutter as well. I actually just taught him last night. Taught him the grip. I don't know if he knows how to throw it properly. He threw me a couple last night. Change up. Nothing that turns. No, we're not changing any wrist movements. No elbow torque, because I don't need my son having Tommy John by the time he's fucking 18. Right. So everything's still straight. Everything's over the top. Just changing grips on the ball, trying to put that proper spin on that ball based on where you grip it to hopefully get a little bit of movement. His cutter's nasty, though.
That stuff just takes time and practice, man. I mean, you start off learning to just throw that fastball and get it in the strike zone. And then it was just, I know for me, it was practice after practice after practice, and going in the backyard with one of those nets that's got the box on it and everything.
Yeah.
Just throwing hundreds of balls, trying to get it worked down to actually see that correct movement and correct finger placement on the ball and everything, to actually see the correct movement. So it just takes time, but that's pretty awesome that he's already starting to develop some of that stuff at such a young age.
Yeah, I mean, he asked me last night, like in the middle of the inning, he's like standing up there waiting to get ready to bat. He's like, "Hey, can I throw a changeup?" I was like, "Graydon, you have no idea how to throw a changeup. Like, we have not gone over a changeup grip, anything like that." He's like, "Well, I just imagine that you just throw it slower." I was like, that's not a changeup, but it was funny, because that will throw
people off if you're throwing fast, and then all of a sudden you just like give them a softball throw,
a little ephus pitch.
I'll be like, "What the fuck?" Yeah,
but I thought it was pretty cool that he's really into learning the game. We actually had to have a conversation last night about some of the etiquette that goes along with the game. His team was making a comeback. They were down by quite a bit. And he came and scored because bases were loaded and he was walked. So he comes across the plate, doesn't step on it, decides he's going to reach down and swipe his finger across home plate. Had to yank him off to the side for a second and talk about some of the things that you can and cannot do in baseball. Like, I'm big on having fun. Like, he'll get a great hit. He'll dance. He's having a good time. He's bringing a lot of energy to his team. I love that kind of stuff. But there's that line where you can't cross it, especially in baseball, that gentleman's game, those fucking unwritten rules of baseball that some people live by and some people fucking hate. Some of them I can get behind. Like, don't be blatantly disrespectful. Now, he doesn't know. He's 10. He thinks he's just having a good time. But like, I'm good with bat flips. Like, fucking yeet that motherfucker into the stands if you want to, especially if it's like a walk-off. Like, just let that bitch eat. But like, that kind of thing, it's like, I mean, you walked. Like, you didn't, nothing happened.
Too much.
Like, you didn't do anything.
You just didn't swing. Look, I would be just sitting there showing them clips of Barry Sanders scoring touchdowns. And here's a bubble. Right. And I always loved, like, don't get me wrong, celebrations are awesome. I think that they're really entertaining to watch. But for me, it was always like, I really enjoyed the guy that would not celebrate, because it's like, oh yeah, this is where I live. This is nothing new. This is a regular day at the job for me. So that's, I always love the no celebration look.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm I'm totally good with the no celebration thing. It makes sense to me why you're supposed to act like you've been there before. Um, they're kids. I understand getting hype, having fun. I mean, I believe producer Amber posted a clip to the Facebook page. Kid hits a triple,
Yep,
enjoying
saw
his
that one.
enjoying it. He's out on third base, and then he starts flossing, having a good old time. He's like, "I'm ready to fucking score. Let's go." I mean, and that gets his teammates involved, which is great. I like that, that because baseball can be one of those games where energy doesn't always stay as high as you'd like it to,
Mhm.
right? Oh, God damn it, man. These text messages are pissing me off. But like if you can get a kid that will, stay high, high tempo, high energy, that will feed into what everybody else is doing. And then people start playing better. When you get a little bit of confidence, I mean, you're going to play better. I'm a big fan of that old adage, look good, feel good, play good. So if you're feeling good, you're going to play good. I don't know that that's ever been a false statement. And most of the times that I've played, like if you're feeling it, like something's on that day. Now,
Yeah, absolutely.
every day is not going to be like that. You're going to have days where it's like you just don't fucking have it today. But that shit happens. Let me send this fucking thing real quick before I lose my goddamn mind. So, anything else going on out there? You sports stuff. You had some U sports stuff to talk about last week, right?
Uh, I got really. I'm not golfing this weekend. Did a little bit of the golf last weekend with the boys, but that was about it. Taking a week off from golfing to go doing this camping. The most competitive thing that I've had going on over this past week is that the old lady and I have gotten into a bit of a fucking competition of seeing who can
Yeah.
prank each other the most. So hence the 6-foot inflatable penis behind me. Hence Deep Throat King no gag reflex
Hell yeah.
magnets.
I was waiting for that thing to come and make its appearance.
Yeah, that's well, we went out, she really likes going out to the lake, seeing nature. I enjoy spending that time with her. So we leave the house to drive to the lake last weekend, and she's just giggling as soon as we leave the house.
Of course.
And I'm
So
like,
you
what's
instantly
going
know
on?
something is up.
I love jokes, and bring me into it. And she's just laughing, and go to the gas station. She's laughing. I'm like, is there something on my face? Like, did I, what's going on? She's not telling me. And then as we're walking back out to the truck, she goes, your dick's out. And I'm like, my dick's not out. She's like, your dick's out. And then we get in the truck and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And she's like, there's a dick on the front of your truck. And so I look up on the hood thinking that she drew something. And no, it's a suction cup dildo, unicorn horned to the bumper. Apparently the entire way there, people were, rubbernecking and looking at us, and people were in the parking lot. And so I was like, all right, it's on. And I immediately got on Amazon and started ordering up stuff. And so it's just been a little back and forth since then.
Yeah, so I've seen some of the videos that have been posted. I've enjoyed it. It's hilarious. I can't joke. We can't joke like that with the 3 kids running around.
Mm-hmm.
That would be, I feel like, inappropriate and awkward. My mom also lives with us, so that's just we're not doing that. But yeah, I've enjoyed those little videos, and
well, like everyone
the gags are always great.
Like everyone has kind of said, it's like she's the right girl for me because she's a good sport and she's got the same sort of humor as me. So it's nice. It's nice.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
things could get out of hand real quick. But
yeah, I could see that also happening. But all right, so now that we've got the explanation for the giant dick and some of that out of the way, and my fucking phone finally worked. Are we ready to get into some actual sports? We covered the youth stuff. You got anything else you want to go into before we start diving into some sports?
Nah, man, let's kick into the good stuff.
All right, so we are going to start. We're going to start with hockey, just because it's not going to be too long on the hockey segment. There's only one game in town, and that's Stanley Cup Finals. And last night was Game 5. This is the Avs' chance to close it out, and they could not come through. They had multiple opportunities last night. It looked like, or it felt like to me, because I was actually able to catch the end of that game after Graydon's baseball game, and it just they could not capitalize in those key moments where they needed to put one away. They go going into the third period, tied 2-2, and Tampa is a good team. They're not going to lay down. These guys are back-to-back defending fucking Stanley Cup champions for a reason. There's an entire there's this possibility I wasn't sure was going to happen because of how dominant the Avs have been playing. This could go 7. And if this does go 7, that scares me.
I don't think it will. So the Avs were up 3-1 in the series as of last night. So they just need one more win to put away the Lightning. I assume that the Lightning would get one, and I believe last time I talked about this, I was like, I think this is just going to be a 5-game series at most.
That's what I thought.
I think it ends tonight, and I'm going to say this every night because the Lightning need to win out to win this series. I don't know that any team, or I don't know if the Avalanche have lost 3 in a row this year. To be honest, I haven't looked at their schedule, and they would have to lose 4 in a row at this point. So it's. The Avalanche just had so many missed opportunities last night that, credit to the Lightning for staying in it. But realistically, it's like the Avalanche, I believe, are going to correct their issues from the night before, like they've done all year. And they'll come out and be dominant again. This is kind of that chip on the shoulder moment for them where it's like, hey, we kind of screwed ourselves against a very good team. We're a better team. They'll fix those issues. They'll get the win tonight. And I believe that they'll be going home with the Stanley Cup in this game 6. So it's like I said, the Lightning need to win out to win this series. They need to win the next 3 games. And I don't see that happening. Well, it's
so they were down 3-1 and then you're right. Tracking what you're saying.
Yeah, it's I don't expect that to happen, but we'll see. I still have the utmost confidence in the Avalanche. Like I don't know how much money I have left in my sports book because I've kind of blown that, especially in the last UFC fight. But if I have any, I would put all my money on the Avalanche on this next game.
All right, Avalanche, and that's tonight, right? That's when's the puck drop tonight?
5 p.m. Mountain Time.
5 p.m.
Sunday.
Sunday. So not tonight. Tomorrow. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I would love to see the Avs close it out. It'd be awesome. But I'm telling, if Tampa pushes this to Game 7, that puts momentum firmly in their fucking favor. Should be still on the Avalanche home ice though for Game 7, so might be a little bit of an advantage. We'll see. When you get a team that misses that many opportunities and then you knock off 2 against them, then you go into a winner take all. There's a lot of pressure there. Tampa is familiar with the pressure. The Avs are not, so that does worry me that if they cannot get it done tomorrow night, that Game 7 is going to be dicey. We've seen some chippiness in this series already. Guys maybe taking some shots that they did not need to take or should not have taken, even though there was no suspensions handed out. So I'm excited to actually catch that. I don't know that I'm going to be able to – well, actually, no, I'm probably not going to be able to watch that shit because it's going to start at like 8:30 here or 7:30 here. My ass has got to be in bed at a fairly reasonable time, and I'm going to go out to fucking Cleveland tomorrow. Me and producer Amber are taking a little day date, getting rid of these goddamn kids, and going to go catch a Guardians game. So,
nice. Yeah, I definitely won't be able to watch it. I'm going to be out in the middle of nowhere with no cell service, roughing it a little bit. So
there you go.
By
the way, I hate camping. The Army fucking ruined camping for me.
Oh man, you were UAS. You got
no. I started as a shadow guy.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so I actually had to go like camp. I was stationed in Alaska. We couldn't fly off of Wainwright. We had to drive at a minimum of an hour and a half out to the field to go fly, and then we would stay there for like 30 days. So we would do the same thing when I was shadow in Germany for pre-deployment exercises. We actually did 2 in a row where it was
We would go out in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the forest, with just a tiny little runway strip, camp for a month. It was snowing, so we weren't flying. We've got 2-3 feet of snow up the side of the tents, and of course the one warm spot out there is inside of our tent, so all the field mice are in there. We lost all of our like personal equipment. I had mouth shit on my pillow every day when I came back in, holes through my pillow and through my sleeping bags. Not a single uniform came back without holes in it because the mice were eating through it. Yeah, it was shitty. But I mean, I still enjoy aspects of camping. The Army didn't completely ruin that for me.
I like drinking around a fire.
The big thing that the Army ruined for me is flights. And I'm talking like riding planes.
Oh yeah.
Going to and from places. Like I remember as a kid loving to fly to go on vacation and stuff like that. And now I just fucking hate flying. I was doing those international flights back and forth from Europe all the time. Those long ass flights and cramped spaces and backs just jacked up, and then all the flights to and from combat theaters, and I just hate that travel. So it's like flying now just sounds atrocious to me.
So I think my worst flight ever and my best flight ever were both in the Army. One was, going on deployment as a PFC. I had a 240, my rifle, my fucking rucksack, and then a laptop. I all had to carry that shit onto the C-17 in the middle seats, so I had no fucking room.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came back from Afghanistan, I flew Strat Air, so I slept on the hood of a Humvee the entire time, underneath a little little heater area they had. That flight was fucking awesome. I could get up, go, and do whatever the hell I wanted. So Strat Air, fantastic.
I've definitely had some good flights in the military, but it's just the amount of flights I did has made it just unenjoyable for me.
I understand.
All right, so hockey, finish up with that. Stanley Cup finals are just about to be done. I'm calling it Avalanche here in game 6. What do we got next, bud?
So we're gonna hop over. We're gonna go into Major League Baseball. So there was a massive series this last week. Your Twins and my Guardians met up. Guardians ended up taking 2 of 3, and the Guardians and the Twins are in a virtual tie of first place. I say that because their winning percentage is not the same, but you guys have played 6 more games than us because the weather out in Cleveland this time of year is fucking hot dog shit. They have been rained out so many times that we are a long ways back. It's also the reason that there is a 5-game series coming up this next week with the Twins. The 5-game series don't typically happen. So that's going to be massive for these two teams. Cleveland still looks pretty goddamn good. We have a big series going on right now with the Red Sox, another team that's right there in that wild card race. So Guardians got to play some really important, meaningful baseball at this point in the year. You don't typically get a ton of massive series. You'll get the rivalry series, but the Guardians have to come through this fairly unscathed to make sure that they stay, at the top of first place, or at least within striking distance, and not go on a massive losing streak, which they are on a massive heater right now. Before they lost the last 2, I think they had won 21 or 24, some crazy shit. They were just absolutely on fire, and we were able to catch up to you guys. But I think a lot of that, and we kind of talked about it before the show, you guys are dealing with a lot of injuries, and you guys are in a massive slump right now that apparently nobody really is talking about in the national media.
Yeah. So, and I could just be only seeing kind of biased news feed towards the Twins, but it feels to me like the Twins proponents are not facing the fact that we are not doing great right now. Yeah, we were in first. We just basically lost first to the Guardians, who, everyone expected to just kind of be having a throw in the towel type of year at the beginning of the season. But we have we have a lot of live bats on this team, and they're just not hitting right now. The biggest weakness that we have is our starting pitching, and we do need to go out and make some acquisitions to bring in starting pitching help. But that's not completely the issue right now. It's you've got Buxton, you got Arias, and sometimes Correa, and those are the guys that are kind of hitting for us right now. We need to turn this around. I mean, we just lost one to the Rockies last night, and the Rockies are just not a good team this year. And with this 5-game stretch coming up against the Guardians, and with our positions currently here at 1-2 and 2-1, it's if the Twins want to continue to stay competitive, they have to start getting their bats live again, because they have been in this slump for a while. Like you said, that's the last 10 games, Twins are 4-6.
Yeah,
that's not good. You guys are 7-3. And they've been kind of on this slide, it feels like, for about a month.
For about 20 games almost. Yeah. So we were able to catch you guys after being down 5 or 6 games. A little bit of that was that injuries. Then you guys started getting cold. We got hot. And then you guys are, relatively healthy, even though Buxton is now dinged up again with that knee issue that keeps coming back to plague him. And the bats are cold. Like, Max Kepler is a guy that I dread seeing. Like, he is not an all-star. Max Kepler is not a guy that typically scares any teams. Max Kepler absolutely dominates this Cleveland baseball team, no matter what their name is, and he has for fucking years, and he has not done hardly anything as of the last month. He has been kind of scuffling at the plate. Correa is starting to get his bat back a little bit, but you got guys that I expected to produce a little bit more, and they just haven't. Polanco is another guy that, man, I expect him to be a problem every time we see him, and just hasn't happened. But don't get me wrong, I'm not rooting for your Twins to come back and get on a heater. I want to see the Guardians kind of run away with this thing. And with the trade deadline coming up, we could see a lot of things happen. Now, this Guardians team is very, very young. Youngest in baseball by a fucking mile. Our average hitter age is 26, I think 26.1. Average pitcher's age is 26.5. So our team is 26 years old. That is a young baseball team. That's the reason that we were able to pay Jose Ramirez, is because we're not paying fucking anybody else, because they're all on rookie deals still. So, like, the fact that this young team is able to compete the way they are is very exciting. It kind of gives me flashbacks of that really good core that the Indians had back in the 90s. Like, that was fantastic. That core was constantly good. You're talking Manny Ramirez, Jim Thome, Omar Vizquel, Kenny Lofton. Like, you had some dudes in there, and that was your core. You had those guys together, and we kept them together for quite a while, basically all throughout the 90s. And we have the potential to do that again with this young group that we have right now, especially if we can lock up some of these guys early before they, get to arbitration, maybe eat up some of those free agent years.
Yeah, it's you guys are. I don't want to say you're overperforming, because that sounds
we are
like
overachieving.
But you guys are
overachieving, I think.
Are doing very well, and it'll be interesting to see how long you guys can keep this up. Because look, if there's a time, I guess, in the year to have a slump, at least for my Twins, it would be now. And to get hot, you want it to be in that second half of the year. Hopefully you guys aren't hitting that heater right now and then start to taper off.
Yeah, so that is always a worry, especially when you have these young kids. They're going to see a lot more at bats than they have ever seen in their lives. Like, you're not getting this many at bats down in the minors. You're just not. So when you're getting 500-600 at bats in a year, like, there's going to be times where you go cold. As long as everybody doesn't go cold at the same time, that's fine. But we got guys that are stepping up. When we made that trade and got rid of Francisco Lindor, I hated it. I love Lindor. That's the guy. That's the jersey that's hanging up back behind me. That's a Lindor jersey. And I didn't think we got enough, because Lindor was a superstar. And we have a kid playing second base for us right now, is typically a shortstop, and Andres Jimenez, who should make the fucking All-Star team. Uh-oh.
Sorry, getting a coffee load here.
That's all right. I understand. Producer Amber does the same thing for me when I need beer or a spitter.
She just doesn't want to be on camera, apparently.
So, like, what the fuck was I just talking about?
Lindor.
Yeah, so Lindor, I didn't think we got enough. And then Andre Jimenez had not a great year last year, but started to figure things out late in the season. And then this year's on an absolute fucking heater. I think he is third right now in All-Star voting for second baseman. He should be at least 2 based on his production. However, the All-Star game is kind of a popularity contest. We know that. The fans vote on it.
Yep.
So the kid is great. He's playing great. He's been clutch. So I like that trade makes me think that the front office has a little bit of an idea. Maybe they will find a way to figure out how to get some of these guys locked up. Like we went down to the wire with Jose Ramirez. We were able to sign him on a relatively cheap deal compared to his production. He is an MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
If I had an MVP vote, he would have it right now. I would vote for Jose Ramirez over Aaron Judge, and that's not me being a homer about it. Aaron Judge is having a phenomenal year. He's hitting a ton of bombs in that little league park called Yankee Stadium. But Jose is doing everything for this team. He is the spark plug. He is the guy. He's the linchpin that makes everything go. So if we can keep these guys together, man, I'm very, very excited. There's gonna be slumps. Those are gonna come. Those are gonna happen. If we can find a way to get this pitching to start firing on all cylinders, we can make our way through those little slumps, though, with some dominant pitching. Something that you guys desperately need help with.
Yeah, that's if we aren't making moves before trade deadline to get some more starting pitching in here, then it's a failure in the front office. It seems like the front office has been a lot more active in the past year or two in order to try to help build this team, and they need to recognize that this team can go to the playoffs. They can compete in the playoffs if they get the right pieces in place and we start to figure our shit out here that we've been going through for the past month or so. But we'll see. I mean, I'm always very tepid because it seems like we don't want to be big players when it comes to trades in the middle of the year. So we'll see.
Well, you guys did go out. You got Correa in free agency. That was a big time move.
We did. Yeah. And that was surprising and interesting. I'm very happy with that. And because of that move, that's where I had that little sparkle of hope. But, like I said, we'll see. It's going to be interesting between now and the end of June because we got a lot of baseball between our two teams going on here.
Oh, yeah.
So big time implications for the Central.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So in some other news, I was just talking about him. Aaron Judge was able to come to an agreement with the Yankees on a deal for $19 million to avoid arbitration. And $19 million is good money. He's worth more than that a year. He's playing like an MVP. It's him and Jose Ramirez right now, 1 and 2 in the MVP voting. I don't know if everybody who votes on the MVP is seeing that because the Guardians are a small market team. The Yankees are the biggest show in town. But those right now, those are the guys. And Judge, this is the last year that he is locked up with the Yankees. They have got to find a way to get him re-signed. He has kind of become their guy. They have a lot of good players on the Yankees. They have had some really good pitching that kind of surprised a lot of people on why they're so fucking good right now. But the guy that their linchpin is Aaron Judge. He is Mr. Yankee now. He is kind of taken over that Derek Jeter type role. That city loves him. They are deep in their pockets. Just go out and pay this fucking kid. You could have had him locked up. You should have tried to lock him up a while ago and eat up some of that arbitration, eat up some of those free agent years so you don't have to worry about competing and beating against other teams. Now, I don't know if there's a ton of other teams that can compete with the Yankees when it comes to, free agent contracts. You got the Dodgers. I mean, I guess you could toss in the Angels. I don't think they would put Judge and Trout, yeah, he's a monster. I don't think they would put Judge and Trout in the same outfield. It would be insane to see, and especially get Ohtani in that lineup.
Hmm.
But I mean,
I'm sorry. I just
he'll
had
have
to,
a couple suitors. Yeah, it's insane.
I had to throw this up. Him and Altuve is Judge. I believe is the tallest like player in baseball. That's not a pitcher.
I believe he is the tallest position player in baseball.
Yeah, and just it looks like he's playing next.
And
to
I also
child.
believe that Altuve, he might not be the smallest position player. That might be Ozzy Albies now.
It's just ridiculous, the size difference. It looks like a grown man playing with a kid.
And one of those guys has won an MVP.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't Aaron Judge. Think about that. So all you young baseball players out there, listen, doesn't matter how fucking big you are. If you can play and you can compete, like just go get it.
That's the thing. It's an interesting conversation about athletes. In some of these sports, you can be a very different sized guy or gal, I suppose, and still be extremely competitive. I mean, you look at like the Prince Fielders and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
He's a big boy. He's playing professional sports out there with guys that are, cut in shape and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Baseball is one of those sports where you can be a big fucking fat dude and still be dominant. Some of those pitchers.
You could be a diminutive little second baseman and fucking go out and win an MVP.
Yeah. It's an interesting sport, man.
Don't get me wrong. There is a prototypical baseball player. They are about fucking 6'3", 210 pounds, and they have chiseled jaws. Like, if you ever watched the movie Moneyball, that's what everybody's looking for. Yeah, good face, good body.
Yeah,
that type
that's why they got Chris Pratt out there.
That's exactly why they got Chris Pratt out there. But so good for Judge. $19 million is cheap for him. He's going to get $30 million a year when he hits free agency. If he continues to tear he's on this whole year, he may break the record for the biggest contract. Or he'll get close to Trout. I don't know if he'll break Trout's. Because that's a lot. That's so much fucking money what Trout got. But
until they find D-ball or Winstrol in his system, he's gonna be looking at that gigantic contract. So the $19 million is kind of a little sweetener right now to get him by, because life is tough without that sort of money. Just to get him by until he gets that ginormous contract. He'll be all right.
Yeah, he'll be all right. So one more thing I got to ask you. I don't know if you saw it or not. Did you see the cleats that the Brewers' first base coach was sporting?
Were those the ones that you sent me last week, right as the show ended?
No. So that was for Father's Day. That was a pitcher rocking some New Balance.
No, I didn't see those then.
Let me see if I can share this real quick. It's going to look a little funny, but these are classic. They're so much swag for a old first base coach. Like, I got a ton of respect.
Light up and everything.
Light up, fucking gold. Like, these are legit.
See, those are the sorts of things that you see on the spray painting guy that's completely gold and pretends to be a statue or a robot out on the strip.
Yeah. So, I mean, congrats for rocking that. I don't know that I would have what it takes to go out and try to pull that off. That's not really in my repertoire. But
look, I would just feel bad if the team lost and I have to walk back into the dugout with those things on.
With your fucking light ups on. Yeah. Look, they light up.
I'm going to use my Heelys and roll off the field in sorrow.
Yeah. All right, man. You got anything else baseball-wise you want to talk about?
No, I'm good, brother.
All right, so we'll hop off of the baseball stuff then. Do you want to get into look at this guy finally showing himself?
He's still alive, everyone. Torres, Spicy Torres Shotguns is still alive. And I don't think they'll ban you for just being, darker complexion in public.
Yeah, no, you should be fine. I don't believe that the Supreme Court is, attacking the colors yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. I'm going to leave that alone for now. But all right. Do you want to go into the NBA stuff? Because you posted some stuff on the Facebook page that got quite a bit of traction. And I think it's a really, really interesting conversation, especially if you're a basketball fan. And even if you're not, like you know all these guys, if you're a big basketball fan or not. And if you're one of those old school guys, the old heads, it may kind of change who you pick. So you have that up?
Yeah, absolutely. So I threw up or shared onto the Facebook page a picture of some of the greats in the NBA, and the caption was basically got to get rid of one of them. All right. So we actually had quite a bit of conversation back and forth on here. It seemed like a majority was saying bye bye to LeBron James out of this group.
Mhm.
But if you're putting, best 5 out in the court, who's it going to be? We talked before the show a little bit about this. I'm not a huge LeBron fan. The arguments between who's the best, LeBron or Jordan, for me, I always end up going with Jordan, because Jordan is that is the era of basketball that was most impactful to me growing up, watching that with my dad and stuff, because he's from the Chicago area, big Bulls fan. And you were just seeing kind of a magical player. It seemed like he transcended the sport, at that time. So it's extremely impactful for me when we're having that conversation about the GOAT. And I know that by some metrics and everything that LeBron could be considered the best or top 2 or whatever it is. But for me, I always just default go to MJ. And then when I'm looking at this group, I was like, okay, I understand. We could just get rid of Bron in that one. And it seemed like that was a lot of what was on the Facebook page. But we had good conversation before the show here. And, Bron and Larry Bird kind of, same size, same position.
Yep. And so here's the thing, man. Like, for me, a lot of people that were saying the LeBron stuff, I think it's because a lot of people hate LeBron. Like, I get it. LeBron is a very polarizing person. He is the guy who's trying to be the next MJ, and people will always hang on to Michael Jordan as the greatest basketball player ever. I am in this weird vein where LeBron is a better basketball player. He's the greatest basketball player of all time, but he's not the GOAT. Like, when we say the GOAT, I'm talking about guys who win championships, right? Do I think Tom Brady is the most fantastic quarterback of all time, the best passer? No, not even close. I can name a couple guys better than Tom Brady, but Tom Brady's a GOAT because he's won the most.
Mm-hmm.
So
he has that special intangible that you can't really, it's tough to put your finger on, but it's just that winning ability.
Right.
And that's why Tom Brady has, he is, people might get upset at this. He's by no means the best quarterback to ever play the game.
No. And you're going to hate this. Aaron Rodgers is a more physically talented, better quarterback than Tom Brady.
You might actually have me there. I might be willing to agree with that, because Tom Brady's just not he's not physically imposing to me. It's his brain, what's between the ears, that really gets me for Tom. Yeah.
Peyton Manning was a better quarterback. Peyton Manning was a better quarterback than Tom Brady. LeBron James is a better basketball player than Michael Jordan. Jordan's the GOAT because Jordan didn't fucking lose. Like, when he was there, he won. So, and LeBron always had this air about him, like he's going to be the next. He's the next Jordan. He's going to be the greatest of all time. So I think he gets a lot of hate. There's absolutely no way I'm leaving LeBron off this list, and there's no way I'm leaving Jordan off this list. Those are the number 1 and number 2 basketball players of all time. Put them in whatever fucking order you want. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
For me, it's 1 Jordan, and then I'm talking 2A, 2B between Bron and Kobe personally.
See, and I don't put Kobe that high on my list. I got Kobe around 10. Now, Kobe is fantastic. I mean, you're talking about a lot of fucking players go throughout the NBA and you're a top 10 guy. Kobe is awesome. But Kobe is Jordan light. And if I'm putting 5 guys on the court, I need a little bit of versatility. I need guys that do different things, right? So I have LeBron and Jordan on the court. Those guys can work off each other just fantastically. I'm definitely not leaving the greatest shooter of all time off the court. So Steph is on the fucking court for sure. And the most physically dominant player the NBA has ever seen in Shaquille O'Neal is definitely on the fucking court. So I'm down to Kobe and Bird. Larry Bird played in an era where he was so much better than the other people around him that it's hard to gauge how good he truly was. If they're playing in the NBA right now, I think I have to leave Bird off because I don't know if Bird can play in today's NBA, whereas I know all the other guys can play in the NBA. Bill Russell has 11 championships and 2 finals losses, I want to say. Boom.
Yeah. But I don't think Bill Russell is in the conversation with these guys.
No, I don't think he is either. I mean, I love Bill Russell. I mean, you're talking about a fucking winner. But like, I'm leaning towards Bird.
I got it, dude. I am too. That's like the argument that you made earlier. Like, I'm leaning towards Bird too, because if I'm looking at this team, this group of guys minus Bird in their primes, and you put them up against any 5 other guys, I don't see anyone being able to beat them.
I don't either.
And then if you add Bird in, I start to get a little bit of a slight question mark, because if you take you put Bird in and then you say take Braun out, to me, Braun can elevate another team that has stellar guys on it to the point that Jordan can, and then we have a very neck and neck type of competition. If you take Bird out, to me, that I don't know. It seems
you can't. Well, you can't cover the
but
perimeter. So LeBron is a decent 3-point shooter. Never been a great 3-point shooter. He's a slasher. You know who Michael Jordan thrived with was a fucking slasher, attack the basket kind of guy, and Scottie Pippen. They play great together. You know what LeBron is always kind of dependent on because he is that type of slasher? Are fucking 3-point shooters. So you stick the greatest 3-point shooter of all time out there. Like, those 3 guys have got to be there. And nobody's ever going to convince me to take Shaq off the court. Ever. I don't care. Center for center, he probably is not going to be tossed up in that conversation of the greatest centers of all time because, and Shaq would admit this, he's said as much, like, his work ethic wasn't as high as it could have been. If Shaq was all in 100% of the time, he was probably the greatest basketball player of all time because he was so physically imposing, you couldn't fucking stop him. So, and then you get Kobe, like, Kobe could shoot the 3. Kobe could do all the things that Jordan could do. He could slash, he could dunk. And Larry Bird is just kind of a mid-range finesse guy, and I don't know if that works in today's NBA.
Yeah, that's I think that's got to be it for me, man. We got to take Bird off the team. Sorry to everyone that
we got to kick the one white guy off the team.
Yep. Bye, Whitey. I'll say it. Hey,
and I love the fact that this was posted by Black Schefter, right?
The Black Adam Schefter,
yeah, Black Adam Schefter. So
great follow on Facebook and Twitter and all that. I think they got another. There's like 2 meme fake reporters or whatever out there. So
very nice.
Good ones, good follows.
Then they actually they just had the NBA draft. I want to say last night.
Might have been 2 nights ago. I don't know. Gotta get my days kind of mixed up here. But the draft was here in the last, we'll say 48 hours or so. Yeah, 2 days ago, I think. Yeah.
So, and I gotta be honest, I did not follow a ton of college basketball. So I don't know who a ton of these guys are, but I know Chet Holmgren. Possibly
from Minnesota.
Number 1. Yeah. Did not. He went number 2 to Oklahoma City Thunder. I think that will be a nice addition for them. Chet is not nearly as athletic as KD is, but he kind of has similar skill sets, and just the fact that he's such a long fucking defender. He's rangy. I mean, the dude is 7'3" and can fucking knock down the 3, no problem. I mean, this kid has been featured in fucking on ESPN or any sports outlet you want to go read for a long time since he was in high school. Because he's the fucking unicorn. This guy could be everything that Kristaps Porzingis has not been. So good for Chet. I mean, there's just not. I don't know enough about these guys to get really in depth with, how it works for the teams. I can tell you that Paolo Banchero, I don't even know if I said the dude's fucking name right. But yeah, NBA draft happened. It was cool to see Chet go high. I figured he would. I thought he was going to go number 1 because I think he's probably going to be the best player out of this class just because he's fucking unguardable.
Yeah, and that's this is not like the NFL draft.
No,
we don't know these
we spent
guys
hours. We spent hours on our own time, fucking breaking down the prospects. Like that's our bread and butter. The NBA draft, I don't know, and you're never gonna get me to talk about the MLB draft because there's a billion of them.
Mm-hmm.
That shit goes on for 30 rounds, and some of those kids don't even actually go and play.
This is where I just lean on ESPN to tell me draft grades and my team and did we do good or bad at type thing, and then it's like, okay, now I'm going to be tied to this player a little bit in their career and their history. So that's about it. My Wolves picked up 2 guys, generally positive grades for them. So yay! I don't know. Like the Wolves have a good young team to build on. It seems like they're doing good things in the front office. So I mean, I'm patiently excited for what the future holds in store for my Wolves. We'll see.
Yeah, well, I mean, Cavaliers, they were really good last year. Didn't quite get it done there towards the end. Very young team. They picked up some more wings, which I didn't think that they were gonna really. I thought they would attack the 3 position a little bit more, but I mean, there's a possible trade coming here in the near future for one of our guards. But I mean, I'm not going to get too hype about any of this. The basketball draft is more of a crapshoot, I think, than the NFL draft is. I mean, you get guys that are drafted in the second round, late at the first, who turn out to be studs, and you get number 1s who fucking flop after 2 years. Like the NBA draft is so difficult to judge, and even when you do get drafted that high, like when we're talking about number 1 overall picks, top 5 picks, top 10 picks in the NFL, we're talking about possible generational talent type guys. And everybody in this draft could just be a fucking role player. Like that's the way the NBA works.
Very much so. I mean, look, you got guys like Steph Curry who you would think that they'd be known in the draft.
Oh, he was known, but he was too small. He couldn't guard. He couldn't do a ton of things.
Timberwolves passed on him twice.
Yeah.
They passed on him.
How's that
twice.
feel?
Oh, that's people. I believe Del Curry. They got Del Curry, I believe, to say to thank the Timberwolves because they passed on Steph Curry twice. Sent Andrew Wiggins over to him. Like Golden State Warriors, they got some Timberwolves ties that they could be thankful to the Wolves for, I suppose, for our poor ownership or GM or whoever at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I trust me, I understand poor ownership, GMs, and we're talking about a couple different sports here in Cleveland, but that's for another conversation. So,
absolutely.
All right, let's hop into some football, but we're not going to get to the NFL just yet. There was some other big time news, and it was in college football. Fucking top prospect, a guy that everybody's been talking about for a long time, not only because he's incredibly talented, but because he has a fucking $1 million last name. Arch Manning has made his decision, and he's going to Texas. So I'm going to let you kind of go at this first, and then I'm going to follow you after, because I have some interesting takes about why Texas was chosen and kind of what this means in terms of college recruiting landscape and how this is kind of a recall on some of our previous conversations as it comes to NIL deals.
Yeah. So a big get for Sarkisian. I think it's actually, so obviously Texas did not have a great year.
5-7.
Was it no players drafted, I believe?
No, 5-7, no players drafted.
Yeah. But this was what Sarkisian's first year going there.
Maybe? I think it's his first draft. It's his first fucking recruiting class.
Yeah. What Sarkisian did at LSU with Burrow, he has that pro style offense, which is exactly the perfect type of fit for Arch Manning. Archie's been focusing on pro style football basically his whole life since he was a kid. I mean, when you have that sort of family around you, they're getting you focused on pro style. And he has played generally pro style offenses his entire playing career. And so going there to Texas, it gives him the opportunity to take a team out of the dump, which is going to help cement his legacy more. It kind of allows him to go to a place where he can kind of cut his own cloth compared to going somewhere that someone else in his family, went to. I don't see Texas staying in the Big 12 very much longer.
Well, no, so they are already committed to leave. I want to say 2 years. So
I think 2023, like this year, they're still going to be Big 12, and then they're saying they're going to be looking for SEC out of the Big 12 here in the next season.
I think Arch Manning will be in the Big 12 for 1 year, and then the rest of his time, his next 2 years will be in the SEC before he ultimately declares for the draft and is probably drafted number 1 overall.
Yeah. To the Detroit Lions.
Yeah. Like if you could just hold off for a couple years, guys, we got a kid coming from Texas who's going to make it all better.
Look, you're going to start seeing a lot of people wanting to go to Texas to play with Arch. It'll be really interesting to see what happens with Quinn Ewers, West Virginia out there.
Has already entered the transfer portal.
Yeah. It's crazy when we first started this pod talking about Quinn Ewers. Yeah. I remember that was one of the first couple conversations.
It's come full circle, and it was a fucking peak, and now we're hitting that valley, baby.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know if that's necessarily his fault. I don't know if that's him not being talented or what, but
he's very talented. I think he is very, very talented. And this is kind of one of those things that I want to talk about. So Texas is not a good team. They were 5-7. They weren't even bowl eligible. They didn't have anybody drafted. So how does Texas pull an Arch Manning? I mean, don't get me wrong. Austin, beautiful city. He's going to have a fucking great time in Austin. He's going to be the starting quarterback as a freshman for the Texas Longhorns, and his last name is Manning. He's going to fucking slay. Like, he's going to have a great time in Austin. He's not going to have the immediate, comparisons like, oh, yeah, he's playing in the SEC just like the rest of his family. He's going to have 1 year in the Big 12. Then he's hopping right over to the SEC. Let's see if he's got what it takes to play with the big boys, just like his uncles did and his grandfather did, right? But we talked 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago. There was somebody, an unnamed player, who has a massive NIL deal worth millions of dollars that they will not announce, that they have not announced.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if Austin is a big enough city to generate enough money with some boosters to pull a guy like an Arch Manning into Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's where that NIL deal was going. And look, I think he's setting himself up. It's a little bit interesting. At this point in your career progression, you almost should be setting yourself up for get as many wins as you can to get yourself in the NFL and set yourself up as best as possible. He almost looks like he's I don't want to say taking the hard road, because at the end of the day, you are playing at a big
I think he does want to forge he wants to forge his own path.
He's trying to forge his own path. He's trying to show that he can transcend such a bad record and everything, and how bad the program is. I mean, they're basically getting a freebie year here, kind of, to help build this team, because realistically, with a good recruiting class or two, a college football team can really flip themselves around. So if they're able to pull in a bunch of recruits here in the next year or two, with him on the team, with Sarkisian, who has put together fantastic pro-style offenses there, you know, what he did with Burrow. Sarkisian comes in, Burrow goes from a middling quarterback to the number 1 overall pick in the draft because of his performance. The two of them teamed up could be a really compelling story. And then jumping from the Big 12 into essentially the big leagues at that point in the SEC, with hopefully a lot of really good recruits, a good team, it's a very interesting situation. It's not guaranteed to work. That's the thing that I'm a little tepid about, is that, yes, Arch is trying to, like I said, forge his own path, but almost like, don't count your chickens before they hatch. You might not be the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Yeah, I wouldn't go play Texas quarterback.
Go to a good program, ball out at that good program with good guys around you already, good coaching and stuff like that. More of a known commodity, so that way you can get yourself in the NFL, because once you get in the NFL as the number 1 overall pick, you're probably going to a shit team. So that's when you can kind of cut your teeth and you know, show that you are worthy of that last name. But yeah, I'm rooting for him. I am
absolutely. The NFL is better when there's a Manning in it, in any fashion. I don't care if it's fucking media, maybe a possible spot in a front office position for Peyton out with the Broncos. The NFL is better when there's a Manning in it, and I'm going to be very pumped to see how Arch progresses throughout his career. I expect good things. He has fantastic resources around him that he should be able to kind of figure it out. And he's a lot more athletic than his uncles were.
Oh yeah, that's the thing, is like you said earlier, Peyton better than Brady.
Yeah,
as just pure quarterback. And Peyton, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. Eli, good quarterback. I'm not as high on him as some people might be. But the thing with Arch is that he's everything.
He can play in today's NFL.
Whole package, as far as what you want in a quarterback. So the sky's the limit for him, really.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And he turned down offers from Georgia, Alabama, LSU, Clemson, and Virginia. Good try, Virginia. You had no fucking chance at getting him, but good try. I applaud the effort. Because when you're getting Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Clemson offers, you're not looking at Virginia. I mean, I think Clemson could have been a good spot for him. I don't know if ACC, I don't know. I don't know if he kind of knew that Texas was going to end up in the SEC, like if that would play a factor. Because I think he probably does want to have a little bit of those ties to the SEC, where his family made their legacy. But he turned down some massive offers, like Georgia, Alabama, LSU, and Clemson. Those teams are going to be incredibly competitive every year, and you can set yourself up. Texas is not that way. So hopefully that he's making this decision for him and not because of NIL money. But getting back to that, you asked about what does this do to Quinn Ewers? Well, Quinn is entering the transfer portal again. He is going to transfer. He's going to lose a year of eligibility this time because you can only do it once without the penalty. So he's going to sit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, he has made some money because of NIL deals. But what he had to do to get those NIL deals was not go to his senior year of high school, move up his eligibility to come out. So he lost a year of progression. He is going to lose another year due to transferring again. And this kind of sets up, like, these NIL deals are great for these kids, but you can get yourself in some trouble. Like, I remember this, it's kind of reminiscent of me. Like, if I'm thinking back to some guys who made some kind of poor decisions in terms of drafting or, setting themselves up for a career, I think it's Sebastian Telfair. Now, a lot of people probably don't know the name or remember the name. He's a basketball player. One of the last basketball players who came out of high school straight to the NBA when that was still allowed. He was not ready, and it kind of set him back and did not have much of a career in the NBA. Quinn Ewers has kind of set himself up for that right now, that he threw away his senior year of high school when he could have been fantastic, possibly the number one recruit coming out. He might have actually still been the number one quarterback coming out for his class, but you lose that. Now you're losing a year of eligibility because you want to get some dollars. I get it. Get your bag. But if you're that guy, if you're that good, if you have that much faith in yourself, to skip your senior year, this additional transfer doesn't look great. And it sets him back a long ways, I think, for a kid who should be really good when he finally sees the fucking field.
Yeah, that'll be the most interesting thing, regardless of where he goes, is to see if all the hype is truly worth it. And at this point, I mean, there shouldn't be a reason for us to really question it, because he's still the guy that he was, when he left high school to go into Ohio State. But you just don't know, because it feels, like 2 years since we've seen anything.
Right.
And so it'll be really interesting to see where he lands, and if he's able to produce like he was expected to. Do you have any thoughts on where he might end up transferring to?
Man, I don't know, because at this point he has gone from an Ohio State, one of the best programs in the country, to a Texas, a place where he's from, where he thought he was going to have a chance to go in and, win a starting job. And now he's going to transfer out again. I think he's going to have to probably go to one of these, smaller school. I want to say smaller, but I'm not thinking he's getting a shot at a SEC school unless it's like a Kentucky or a Duke. Like, you can still go to one of these places and play good football. You're not going to one of the top programs in the country anymore because of the way this has all gone down. And it's a shame, because I think he probably is very talented. There's a reason that he was recruited as high as he was. I mean, you don't get offers from these types of schools that he was getting offers from without being really fucking good at football, or at least looking like you're really fucking good at football, whether you actually are or not. Like, so, but I mean, I could see him, I don't know, Utah. That's a fairly competitive team, not big national scale, that could maybe use an influx of talent. I don't know how Quinn Ewers is going to do out there in Mormontown. I don't feel like that's a fit, but
I know Pat McAfee keeps on pushing for West Virginia.
Oh, I'm sure he is pushing West Virginia. I mean, West Virginia has had some really exciting quarterbacks in their time. Now, they didn't necessarily pan out in the pros. Talk about a Pat White. Geno Smith was very exciting in college.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, West Virginia wouldn't be a bad spot. Fucking Big 12, fairly decent sized conference. And you're fucking Big 12's losing Oklahoma and Texas. You can go out there and win conference championships.
For whatever reason, maybe it's just the mullet calling to me, but I feel he belongs somewhere down in Florida somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, Florida, fucking Atlantic. Oh, no. Central Florida. Central Florida would be great for him.
UCF?
Yeah. Central Florida would be fucking great for Quinn.
Not the worst.
I think they'd love to have him. I mean, Central Florida had a couple of fucking really good years.
Yeah.
I mean,
they produce Bortles.
Yeah. I mean, don't do that. The Golden Knights do not deserve that disrespect. That's not their fault. The last couple of years, they have put out some good prospects, and they were ranked 5th in the country, almost made the playoffs, but there was absolutely no way they were going to, because they don't generate enough money.
Yeah.
So, but Central Florida would be great for him, I think. I mean, that perfect fit down there in Florida.
That they would embrace him wholeheartedly with that hair, man.
Maybe Arkansas. What about Arkansas?
You could do that. Oklahoma Sooner.
No, he's not going to go to Oklahoma. Oklahoma does need a quarterback now, but I don't know, man. I feel bad for the kid. I hope it works out for him. And I just keep thinking back to deciding to skip out on your senior year of high school. We talked about it when it happens. Like, is this a good idea? In retrospect, no, it wasn't a good idea. At the time, we were like, listen, if he comes out and he balls out, sure, that's fucking great. Get your money. You get in the NFL sooner. You'll be pro ready by the time you're fucking 20, 21 years old. And it's not going to work that way.
Absolutely. So. All right. You want to get into other football stuff or?
So one quick shout out to one more college team, the Ohio State University.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Ohio State, like, listen, I'm a fucking Ohio State Buckeye fan through and through. I wish I had gone there so I could actually call myself a Buckeye. I love that team. I love that school. But sometimes people that you love do things that are just asinine. And you don't really know how to explain it. Sometimes they do things that make them sound like pompous assholes. And trademarking the word the or the is so fucking dumb. Like, guys, come on. Like, everybody know, like, it's the Ohio State University. We get it. Every NFL player, when they do their little intros at the fucking, in the middle, like at the beginning of the game, it's the Ohio State University. We know. You don't need to trademark the, however the fuck you want to say it. Like, it doesn't make any goddamn sense to me why they felt like this move was necessary.
They did it, and the courts passed it.
I don't know how the fuck do you trademark that? How do you trademark that word?
It's impressive.
I mean,
it's
they
impressive.
got great lawyers over there at Ohio State. Yeah, yes, Kimmel, that is a real thing. I was astonished when I saw it. I was like, okay, so what day is it? Like, because this can't be real. No, it is 100% real. It is now trademarked, the Ohio State University, and I don't like the move. I will still refer to them as the Ohio State University, but the trademark is dumb. Get the fuck out of here.
I mean, we're in a wild day and age of courts and things like that, so I guess anything's possible.
Oh yeah, here we go. There's another. All right. Also, shout out to Ohio State for just signing every goddamn good receiver in the country. Brian Hartline is a stud. He is the greatest recruiter of college wide receivers that college has ever seen. We just signed another 5-star receiver, and we got another 4-star to come in with him the same goddamn day.
I mean, when you guys are having multiple first-round draft picks, you know.
I mean, you're getting coached by a guy who is a pretty goddamn good pro.
Pretty good sell.
Yeah, that is a good sell. All right, I am done with the college football now. I had to get that out there. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. Didn't make any sense, but yeah.
Yep. So other football related news, Ryan Fitzpatrick going to be going to Amazon Prime.
Hell yeah.
We knew that was happening.
Yeah, we did know it was happening. It had been kind of leaked a little bit before, but now it is official. Fitzmagic is going to be on Amazon Prime, and I'm pumped for it. However, if he would like to come out of retirement and maybe suit up for the Cleveland Browns, who are going to need a quarterback, that'd be also cool. I'd be totally good with that. Because I don't know if you guys have heard, Deshaun Watson settled 20 of his 24 civil suits. And yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, if you want to come play for us, we could do that.
Absolutely.
But I'm super pumped for him. I mean, Fitz is the guy. He is the man's man. He is the dude's dude. Like,
honestly, I'm hoping for the best for him. We've seen him in press conferences and stuff like that, but as far as like doing a whole telecast or broadcast and stuff like that, we don't really know how he's going to do. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, it could be a flop. Maybe, that's just not his thing. But love seeing that sort of a personality out there. And I mean, we're big Fitzpatrick fans here on the show, so rooting for him to have a great, successful post NFL playing career.
Yeah. Actually, so he's going to Amazon. Amazon has put in a bid along with Apple and I believe Disney
Hmm.
to take over, was it NFL Sunday Ticket
Yep.
streaming rights. Anybody but DirecTV would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody
I,
but DirecTV or
Because
Dish. Fuck both of those.
yeah, I want one of those regular streaming services that I don't have to go buy a full fucking whole TV package for.
Yeah, it's exactly what I want to. And I think the NFL is kind of starting to see that, like, we'll generate a lot more revenue if we just go to a
Hmm.
regular ass streaming service.
Hmm.
So
You will get a lot more people to buy on, a lot less people doing illegal streaming, which here on the show we are not proponents of that.
absolutely not.
We do not do that.
Nope. I pay for every movie and UFC I watch.
Yeah. So get on a normal streaming platform, NFL, and we will surely pay for that. Other news in the NFL, kind of a sadder story. Well, I mean, there was actually a couple deaths here in the NFL. So first, Ravens linebacker Jalen Ferguson passed away. He was 26 years old, real fucking young. I'm not sure the details around that yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure that has been released. Kind of, they said there were no signs of trauma, no signs of foul play. Other than that, I don't know that they have really come out with much information about, how he passed. But anytime we're talking about the loss of life of somebody that young, it's awful.
Yeah. And right after that, which probably overshadowed it to some point, Tony Siragusa, former defensive tackle, he played for the Ravens as well and the Colts. The Goose, he passed away at 55 years of age. People might remember him from those Ravens, the 2000 defense that they had, super historic. He also did some sideline reporting. What he was more of just the fun sideline reporter, not really saying a whole lot about the game. But hell of a character. A sad one to see go, especially. I mean, also relatively young at 55. I mean, but he's a big dude, big dude. So and it's not like he got out of the NFL and started cutting back weight. I'm pretty sure he just got bigger.
Yeah.
So health concerns are always going to be there.
Well,
But unfortunately, he passed.
He's one of those guys, like, when they cut to him while he's doing the sideline reporting, it was always some sort of like fun little story for the most part. Like, he always had his way about him. He was kind of like Booger McFarlane, before Booger and better. But yeah, like, I love him as the sideline reporter. It was always funny. Didn't love him as a player because he played for that really, really good fucking Ravens team. I didn't know this. He was a Colt for a while.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I thought he was a Raven his whole fucking career.
Yeah, he spent his first 7 seasons with the Colts, actually.
Man, I did not. Yeah, I remember him as a Raven. Like, I do not think of him as
his most impressive times were with the Ravens. I mean, that's where people really remember him from. He was that bowling ball in the middle of their defense, and like I said, it was a historic defense, just nothing but big names and obviously phenomenal play on the field from all those guys. So 12-year career. Notes here on ESPN, he started his 12-year career by drinking away his $1,000 signing bonus as an undrafted free agent.
Hell yeah.
And left the game as one of the most unique personalities, known for his irreverent sense of humor and memorable pranks. So bummer to see him go. He will definitely be missed.
Absolutely. All right, so we had those two. What else was? Oh yeah, I know. We got next. Go ahead, man. Lead us into it.
Kaepernick.
So yeah, we'll go with Cap next. So Kaepernick had a workout. We kind of alluded to the fact that a couple weeks, well, actually might have been a little bit longer ago, that he was going to have a workout. He was going to go and try out with the Ravens, and it was a really good landing spot for him because he can come in, be a backup. He knows exactly what his role is going to be, kind of be that Mariota on the other end. So yep, I knew this was coming. So
Yeah,
give me 1 second, guys.
We posted up on the Facebook page a little quote treat or a little quote up there. Apparently, Kaepernick had a workout with the Raiders, which we were aware of. But it seemed like everything around it was positive, like a deal might be in place. Everyone was saying it was a good workout. And then Warren Sapp recently came out and said that he's heard from his sources that it was just a train wreck, one of the worst workouts that they've seen. And obviously he still doesn't have a deal done. Mike and I have been big proponents of, hey, someone go sign this guy, backup contract, something like that. I honestly don't care if he gets cut after training camp, but let the guy play, see him in the preseason, and then if he's bad, then we just know he's not ready for the NFL anymore. When he kind of got pushed out of the NFL, it seemed like he could still play. He wouldn't be a top 10 quarterback, maybe not top 15 quarterback, but he could still play and at least be a backup. But at this point in his career, we don't know anymore because it's been so long since he's played. He still wants to play, and he's claiming, social injustices and stuff like that. But it might not be the case. He just might not be able to play anymore. And if the reports of this workout are correct about how bad it was, that might be the case.
Yeah.
And so one of the comments that we had on there was from frequent call-in guest Sexy Torres. And I told him, I was like, hey, if you got comments on this, you might as well call into the show. We haven't heard from you in a while. So we got Torres on the line now.
We do. We absolutely. We have Torres on the line. Sexy Torres, you are on with the Lineman Lounge. How you doing? And what do you got for us, big guy?
Doing good. So sorry for the large absence. There's a lot of stuff that's going on, but as soon as Evo posted that on Facebook page, and he's like, you should probably call in. And I was like, all right, you motherfuckers better have a beer ready, though.
I do. Always.
But yeah, no, essentially, Evo kind of covered it. It was, the comment I made was such a waste of talent, because I do think that he was talented, and I do think that, as Evo mentioned, that if someone would have given him a chance shortly after everything happened, we could have seen, like, can he still do it? Because he was kind of on a downward decline a little bit. I don't know where that was coming from, but I don't know. I mean, what's you guys' take on, or what's your take? Because it was Evo mostly talking about it. But
yeah, so I was very big on that. Cap was definitely a top 64 quarterback and potentially a top 32 quarterback in the NFL. Even, a couple of years after he had been kind of blackballed from the NFL, I thought he deserved another shot, and the teams just were not going to take that shot because of the PR that was going to come along with it, possibly. And it was kind of a shame. And then, he continued to progress. He kind of had gone out of the limelight for a little while, but still trying to do workouts. He had that one workout that didn't end up being a workout, and that kind of made me wonder, does this guy still want to play? Can he still play? And the reports that we had heard prior to this was that, hey, you know what, Cap still looks pretty good. We're getting NFL receivers saying, you know what, the kid can still sling it. And then Warren Sapp is putting out that, no, this is one of the worst workouts that's ever happened when he goes out there with the Raiders. And it's kind of a shame. I am on board with you that it is kind of a waste. Now, I support what he was doing. I understand that there's going to be a lot of people who don't. I have no problem with the protest. But the way that it all goes down, like there were opportunities, I think, for him to continue to play. And now that we've got to this point, I mean, I think it's over. I think we can kind of put this Kaepernick thing to bed, because if this report is true, he can't play. Okay, we're done. We're not talking about Kaepernick needs to get signed somewhere. It's over. Like, he had his time. He was really good for a few years while he was there. He started having himself a little bit of a decline. Some teams started to catch up to him. and then the situation with the NFL, which I don't blame him for, but it's we can't talk about Kaepernick every offseason about potentially getting a shot anymore if he had a shot and he completely blew the workout.
Yeah. No, yeah. Like I said, unfortunate, but sorry, I'm trying to figure out because I can't hear Evo for this. Usually I used to be able to hear both of you guys, but I can only hear you, and then I have to like rely on the video that has a delay.
Yeah, so it is a little bit of a different setup than it used to be with us being in separate locations.
I like it. I'll just have to figure it out. But I guess the time's come. Grab your beer. And Evo should probably grab a beer too or whatever feminine drink he likes to sip on.
I don't have any beers here at the house, my brother. I'm sorry. And I already pounded my coffee. I can drink this little bit that's left.
Are we doing shotguns or can we just chug it?
Let's just chug it. Fuck it.
All right, sounds good to me. I'm gonna crack a new one for you. So normally I would be all about the shotguns, but the setup I currently have is like right next to my bed, and like if it sprays all over the place, which I'm known to do, I don't want to deal with that everywhere.
Splurt.
I just have to fucking hang on and hope it doesn't get in my eyes. All right. So what are you drinking, Torres?
Don't ask me that. That's the only thing that was normal alcohol because everything else is either an IPA or 8% or higher. So don't worry about it. It's alcohol.
Okay. I mean, I'm not worried. I mean, I'm going to fucking try to chug one of these high noons. So,
ooh. You know, with all the shirtless pictures that Torres has been taking, the shirtless pictures that he's been taking, that's why he hasn't been here. He's too busy doing those shirtless pictures. So right now he's probably got a White Claw or worse or something like that, like a Snapple with a shot of like some I don't know, Sally Girl vodka in or something like that.
All right, so I don't know if you could hear Evo there. He was saying that you probably got some.
I'm listening to it. It's a little delayed, but yeah.
Yeah. All right, man. I am ready whenever you are.
All right, let's do it. Do a countdown.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Done. Oh, hell yeah. I'm not the only one drinking girly stuff.
To everybody listening, I apologize for burping in the mic, but this is very carbonated.
Oh, and yeah. It's
Torres, if you're done, you beat me.
Good. I did. Finally.
High noons, White Claws, none of that stuff is great for chugging.
Yeah, don't recommend chugging the high noon. I mean, they're delicious. $20. What's up, big dog? But yeah, so fantastic. It's good to hear from you.
Good.
Feel free to call in. We'll keep that hotline up down on the bottom for anybody else who wants to call in while we kind of finish up what we got for the show. So if you guys want to call in, that number is 520-338-9771.
Let it rip, Mike.
Yeah. No. All right,
gentlemen. Well, you guys stay sick and go Colts.
All right, Torres. Thanks, buddy.
All right, later, buddy.
All right, buddy.
Yeah. Last thing on Kaepernick there for me is like we were kind of saying, I believe that this was the off season for him to come back. I mean, obviously we would have liked to have seen this happen earlier, but this was kind of like the last straw. Either he's able to come back and prove that he can still play on a team, or he comes back and proves that he's just not up to the game anymore. It doesn't even sound like we're going to get that shot, because if this workout was as bad as Sapp was saying, which we have no reason to not believe Warren Sapp, then no one's really going to sacrifice even a spot on like their 90-man roster through training camp and stuff like that on a guy that doesn't really have potential. It would be a PR stunt at that point. And we've talked about this before. NFL teams usually aren't going to make signings and stuff like that as PR stunts.
the Jags would make a PR stunt, but they're not going to bring him in and deal with the circus of him and fucking Trevor Lawrence in the same camp.
Yeah.
Like that would, I mean, the Jags brought in fucking Tim Tebow. Now, I am not trying to equate
Urban
Tim Tebow
Meyer,
playing
though.
tight end. Yeah, it is Urban Meyer. I was not trying to equate Tim Tebow playing tight end to Colin Kaepernick playing the position he was actually, supposed to fucking play. It's a lot different, but that's the only team I can think of who's actually made a PR stunt like that. Because if this workout is that bad, you can't call it anything else but that, and that's a shame. Because for 3-year stretch, he was like indefensible. That read option that started getting implemented out there with the Niners was so hard to stop. Now, the Packers are perpetually bad on defense, but he broke the NFL record for most rushing yards in a game by a quarterback. Like, he had a ton of talent, and he is not the guy that I would necessarily think of having that record. To me, that's a Lamar Jackson. That's a Mike Vick. That's one of those guys. Yeah.
He was a different type of, he was the first kind of, I don't want to say the first true dual threat, because we can go back to like Tarkenton and stuff like that. But I mean, he was a different breed of quarterback when he first came out, where he could run the ball extremely well, but he still had a lively enough arm in order to sling it around some. And it was difficult for teams to figure that out. And with Harbaugh's offense, it was difficult to figure him out. But once they figured him out, that was it. But he kind of broke that mold of quarterback where it was the pocket presence and only throwing type of quarterback, which laid the groundwork for a Lamar Jackson to be as successful as he is, for a why am I blanking on the Bills quarterback name? My MVP this year.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, for Josh Allen, who Josh Allen doesn't get enough credit for his legs. I mean, he's had, I believe his statistically rushing is better than Lamar Jackson right now too. Like,
I don't know. I don't think Josh has ever gone over 1,000.
I've seen some infographics up of Josh
Maybe
Allen
yards
in
per
their
carry.
career. And they're like, he's got more rushing touchdowns. I don't know if he has more rushing yards, but I mean, either way, it's laying the groundwork for this. What was a traditional quarterback is no longer a thing, and it's laying the groundwork for these guys now.
Yeah.
People figured out his game specifically, and but he kind of laid the groundwork for these guys, and what we're seeing is more of the prototypical quarterback now, where you have to be able to do it all. It shouldn't be a knock on him. Like, his career fell off pretty rapidly for a quarterback.
Yeah.
And if he had kept on playing and maybe gotten on a different system and changed his game up a little bit, who knows where it could have taken him.
Well, and he had that opportunity. He had a chance to go to the Broncos. And
that's
turned
the
it down.
thing is, why I don't completely side with him on the whole thing is that he was looking for starter money for so long. That, like, all the reports in the beginning was that, I mean, obviously he had that baggage that would come with him. He was not looking as good, but then he was still asking for starter money and wasn't willing to listen to anything else other than that sort of starter money. And now he's at the point where he's like, okay, I'll take whatever to prove it, but it's too little too late.
Yeah.
And obviously if he's having these bad workouts, this is not going to work.
Yeah. And guys, listen, when we say like baggage, he comes with baggage. We're not nobody's trying to like dog him for what he did. But when you look
at NFL perception,
and when you look at NFL teams and their owners, that is baggage for an NFL owner who are about their money. And if you affect their bottom dollar, that is a problem if you have a bad rapport with fans, or there's a section of the fan base who will not support you. Listen, I get it. There are people who do not side with Kaepernick. I am not one of those people. I don't understand the argument that you shouldn't protest during the national anthem. Constitution says that you're allowed to protest whenever the fuck you want. But it, like, when you were talking about NFL teams and the way they are run and how the organization is built, that is baggage to them. And that kind of leads us into a little bit of one of those other things that we wanted to talk about in Dan Snyder and the way organizations are run and the way things can happen and not happen and right or wrong, who has the ability to do what in situations where there are some possibly really heinous things that are happening inside of an organization. So there was the hearing that Snyder was not a part of because he was magically in a country that had no fucking internet. And Roger Goodell went to not court. What would you call that? What, a congressional hearing?
Yeah.
Went to the congressional hearing, and exactly like we talked about, we didn't learn a fucking thing. Other than the fact that Roger Goodell can't do shit about it. But if you knew anything about the structure of the NFL, you'd have already known that Roger Goodell can't do shit about who the fuck the owner is. That is, he has no say in that whatsoever. Anybody who doesn't know,
no direct say.
Roger
He can twist a lot
Goodell,
of tits.
Roger Goodell is hired by the owners to be the commissioner of their league and basically be their fucking PR puppet. The owners run the NFL. Roger Goodell is just the fucking front man that has to go out and speak and hopefully do it intelligently, unlike Rob Manfred, to kind of make sure the league and the shield is protected. The owners can do damn near anything. Now, there are things in place that will allow the commissioner to fine owners and suspend owners and take away draft picks. But if the owners say, we want Goodell out, that can happen. Roger Goodell does not run the NFL the way I think people thought he could run the NFL. And that is something that I think people learned during the congressional hearing. And I don't know that I was surprised that people don't understand that. Roger Goodell is the commissioner. He's not the fucking president of the organization. Like he's a figurehead. He's a powerful one, but he is a figurehead.
Yeah, that's you need a 3/4 majority vote, I believe. So 24 out of 32 teams need to vote in the NFL, or owners need to vote in the NFL to remove an owner, which is not out of the question with Dan Snyder. It was an interesting situation. Now it's getting politicized. This is where politics comes in. You have the right and you have the left bickering about this stuff because this was a congressional hearing, the oversight committee for committee for oversight and reform. And it is a little bit interesting that the Washington Commanders football team is a topic for them when we have so much else going on in the country.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what was being brought up mostly by the right in these conversations. At one point, one of the Congress people asked, "Why are we even here?" And Goodell was like, "Are you asking me?" Like, wait, like he had.
You fucking told me to be here.
He's like, "You're. Are you asking? Is that a question for me or for someone else?" And they're like, "No, that's a question for you." And he was like, "I don't think that I am the type of person or should be the person to answer that. Yeah, like you guys told me to be here, so I'm here." I mean, it's interesting. I don't know why it has to, like they're saying, because of all the different things that he's being accused of, that's why they're having this oversight committee about the situation. I think the NFL is going to handle it internally. They don't like all the bad press, all the bad PR that's coming from this. And the NFL will find a way probably to clean itself up or clean up this situation on their own. You would think. It is just very weird for it to be on this national level in a congressional hearing. But they're going to subpoena Dan Snyder. Dan Snyder is all too familiar with litigation. They're saying if he gets subpoenaed, he's going to appeal the subpoenas. It's going to take months before he would ever potentially end up in front of this congressional hearing, which means it's just getting drawn out even further for something that, there's a question mark whether or not it should even be in front of a congressional hearing at this point. And Goodell, I mean, he answered their questions. It seemed like he was kind of in the same ilk of like, I don't know why I'm here, but sure, I'll talk to you guys.
Roger did exactly what he was hired to do. To go out, be a figurehead, say stuff without saying stuff.
What I really liked is that he actually got asked directly about Dave Portnoy.
Oh, yeah. So I did see that.
They asked him why Dave Portnoy was being banned from games and stuff like that. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know who Dave Portnoy is.
Well, because Dave Portnoy made millions of dollars selling a t-shirt with my face and a fucking clown nose on it.
Yeah.
Just say it. That's exactly why he's banned.
Yeah. But he, acted like he didn't know what was going on or that he wasn't allowed. Yeah. That was my favorite part of it. But it's ongoing thing. Look, like I said, I think the NFL is going to clean it up like we talked about last time. The NFL will put up with a lot of shit. This needs to start stealing old rich men's money. They are going to fucking come after you. And I believe that's what's going to happen with the NFL. Right now, Snyder is apparently on a yacht or something like that off the coast of France or something like that. So he doesn't have the service and he's just going to let his lawyers handle things and let this go through litigation if they try to subpoena him. It's just more of the Dan Snyder, Washington Commanders saga, if you will. Something that will continue to be ongoing, I believe, for a little while, just like the whole situation up in Cleveland. We could talk about this every week. It's going to be the same thing.
Yeah, we're not going to.
Things are not looking peachy for either situation, and it's going to just take a little while for this all to get sorted out.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, Dan Snyder sucks. You said 2/3 or 3/4 for the vote to get out?
3/4. 24 out of 32 teams.
So 3/4. I don't know that that's outside the realm of possibility at all, especially if he was stealing money. Like, don't fuck around with the old rich whites' money. Like, they don't play that game. Like, they'll do a lot of dirty things. Don't be taking my money, even though I have billions of it. So, yeah, I don't think the leash is long for Snyder.
Yeah, they're saying that they believe that the Congress people are saying that they believe the NFL is unwilling or unable to hold Mr. Snyder accountable, and that's why they're announcing that they're going to, or they intend to issue a subpoena for Mr. Snyder for depositions starting next week. Not going to happen.
What the fuck can the oversight committee do?
I don't know.
Like, what are they going to say? Bad. Like, what can they do? That's what doesn't make sense to me, and why the fuck they're even in a congressional hearing to begin with. Like, this seems to me like a PR stunt by members of Congress. Like, why the fuck why are we having this meeting?
We got way bigger fish to fry in this country right now.
Yeah.
Than worrying about this football team.
100%. Like, even if they could do something, which they can't because the owners have to vote him out. I mean, they could, I guess, send him to jail. I mean, they could send him to jail. Maybe. No, I don't. Unless they have a FISA warrant. I don't. What the fuck can they do? It doesn't make any goddamn sense. And here's the thing, guys. If Dan Snyder is forced to sell the team, you know what's going to happen? He's going to make billions of fucking dollars. Like, I agree that he's a scumbag and he probably doesn't deserve to own an NFL team. But in the grand scheme of things, like, he's a billionaire who's going to make more billions when the team is sold. Like, this is not, we are wasting our time in Congress with this.
Yeah. And take this for what it's worth. This is coming from the right side of the cabinet. All right. But you have James Comer, ranking GOP representative, saying it's a core responsibility of this committee to conduct oversight of the executive branch, but this entire Congress has turned a blind eye to the Biden administration, and instead we're having an oversight committee investigating a single private organization for workplace misconduct that occurred years ago. It seems like they're stepping out of their bounds.
The oversight committee is not even
just
fucking
PR
sold on
stunt.
what they're doing.
Yeah. So it's a pretty weird situation for it to be in front of a congressional hearing. Seems like, I guess, par for the course for American politics right now, and what their focus is on. When we have bigger issues going on in the country. So left wing, right wing, it's all the same fucking bird, and it's a shit hawk. So
it's not good.
Yeah.
All
Dan
right,
Snyder's a piece of shit.
Yeah, Dan Snyder's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I just reminded me of Letterkenny.
Mm-hmm.
We got anything else on any other NFL stories that we wanted to talk about?
No, I don't believe so, dude.
All right. So that is it. That's it with our sports stuff, guys. Now we're gonna kind of take a turn. Something that we wouldn't typically cover on the show, right? This is a sports show. It's supposed to be fun. But you guys have heard us made a few comments throughout the show on things that are going on, things that, are being focused on. And it's not something that we can't just not talk about. We want to cover things going on in the world because, this stuff matters. Now, I'm not going to speak for Evo. I'm not going to speak for anybody else associated with the show in any way. These are strictly my views. And it has to do with the ruling yesterday with Roe v. Wade. I kind of steered away from posting anything on social media, especially if it had anything to do with the show, because I don't want to speak for Evo. I just want to speak for myself. And this decision, in my opinion, is categorically the wrong one. We can go back and forth, left, right. This overturning of Roe v. Wade is bad. It's bad for women's rights. It is bad for the stress that it is going to put on families, on people who cannot care for children who have parents or potential parents that cannot care for them. I am not a woman. Okay. I will
sure?
not. We can pull producer Amber in and ask her.
Okay.
But I'm not a woman, so I'm not going to make decisions for a woman's body. That's not my place. And honestly, I don't fucking know enough about it anyways, to have that high of, to be that staunch in saying, no, you have to do this. I don't understand why this decision was made. I get it. It's been this left right issue for a long time. But it's more than that. It's an issue of someone's rights that have been established for a long time. And I don't see a good outcome because abortions are still going to happen. Okay. Now we're risking people's lives. Abortions are not done just because you don't want to have a baby. There are a multitude of different reasons on why this could come up. I'm very lucky that I have never been in a situation where I was with somebody who wanted to have an abortion or needed to have an abortion. I have family members that I care for dearly that have been in this situation, and I absolutely understand where they're coming from, and I empathize with that decision because it's not one that I am capable of making, I don't believe. If we're talking about somebody who is possibly going to die giving birth, I don't understand it. For me, and I know a lot of people don't agree with this, I have 3 kids. I love them dearly. But if it came down to a choice between my wife, producer Amber, the producer of my life, who has basically given me all the reasons that I am happy now, and an unborn baby, I'm going to choose her. I'm going to choose her over the kids basically every time, except for now because they're full-fledged adults. Or well, they're becoming adult. They're alive. They're living a life. I empathize with women. I don't know that my words are gonna be meaningful to really anybody. It's just I wanted to talk about it, get it out there, and say that I don't understand, I don't agree with, and I feel bad for the way that the country is going because it is becoming more and more divided every fucking day. And this is a place where we try to come to bring in some fun, some laughter, and bring people together. And I look around and things are going the opposite fucking direction. So,
no, and that's I'm more or less going to abstain from the conversation just because, like, my general viewpoint when it comes to politics and government is less government. I don't like restrictions on things or people in positions of power to just be making decisions for other people. But at the end of the day, I see both sides of the argument. I could argue for both of them. I could argue against both of them. And it's tough for me to say I don't have a dog in the fight, because the argument against that would be humanity has a argument in the fight. But it's something that I am not intelligent enough, and I do not have enough of a foundation to stand on to speak about at all. So for me, I'm just going to kind of sit this one out, because I don't think it's a good thing overall, but I just, like I said, it's not a direct part of my life, and it's tough for me to even start to begin to conceptualize any good formulation of an argument one way or the other. So I'm just going to step out. I do feel bad for everyone that feels very personally impacted by this. And again, I'm all for government staying out of people's lives. And so that's kind of where I sit with the whole thing.
All right. Well, guys, thank you for sticking around with us. Sorry if that took a little weird turn at the end. I know you guys tuned in for a sports show, but sports and life fucking intersect at every goddamn crossroads. It does in my life all the time. Basically, my life is sports. I'm either fucking coaching it, watching it, or talking about it with you beautiful people. I also post about it online. You guys can check those things out at Facebook, Twitter. We got TikTok, Instagram. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I fucking suck at TikTok and Instagram. Like, I don't do shit on there. I really should do a better job. I've been more active on Twitter. Facebook page is always fucking hopping because, I mean, we're a little older than the Twitter crowd is for the most part. So we get a lot of Twitter, a lot of Facebook action. Still working on that Twitter, and then hopefully you guys will get some more content there soon. Still trying to book a guest. Had one set. Had to reschedule. So
blue check
hopefully
mark.
Next week. Blue check mark. Blue check, like, big guest.
Yeah.
Big Cleveland sports fan Twitter handle. Hopefully we can get that ironed out and see that person next week. But guys, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us, listening to our nonsense, and generally just being fucking awesome. We love you guys. I'm Mike. That's Evo. And we're going to get the fuck out of here. See you.
See ya.
Welcome to the Lineman Lounge, hosted by Mike and Evo, calling their shots and being outlandish.
Breaking news from Lineman Lounge. My fantasy football team just took a huge fucking hit. And that also makes it even more likely that the Raiders are going to beat the Ravens on Monday night. Le'Veon Bell is about to be your starter. Latavius Murray is going to go there as well. Jesus, fuck my ass.
Get ready for the thickest podcast in the game. Coming to you from Hangar 6, where sleeves are optional.